So, Father, I ask you to please bless everyone here this evening and everyone yet to attend. Please bless the speaker and everything he is about to share with us this evening. Please soften our hearts and help us to be open minded to receive the information today. Help us to know our purpose and our purpose in you. And help us to live out this purpose in no other name but Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. Amen. So, good evening again, everyone, and welcome to the second series of our Bible chat, the Purpose Edition. So, last week, I would have actually started off this Purpose Edition, right? And before I get to that, I am Shanae McIntyre and I'll be your host this evening. So, what we did last week, I looked at purpose and identity. Who are we? What are some of our strengths, our weaknesses, and how to discover them? So, you can do that by creating a list. Write down your strengths and weaknesses, take a personality test, ask someone who lives or work with you for an extended period of time to tell you what do they think you are good at or not so good at. Try new things because how would you know if you're good at something if you would have never done it before? And keep adding these things to your initial list, and at the end, evaluate that list. We also looked at some well known individuals like Steve Harvey, who said there are two scriptures that changed his entire life. James chapter 4, verses 2, you have not because you ask not. And Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 as well, write down the vision and make it plain. So sometimes we might feel a bit overwhelmed, and everything that is happening in our lives, I mean, it might just be like so much. So instead of being overwhelmed, what you need to do is to actually be mindful of what is currently happening. But sometimes, instead of being mindful, our mind itself is just so full with the thoughts of every other aspect of our lives. So we looked at a mindfulness meditation practice to really help us truly experience the current moment, as well as some daily affirmations to help us get through the day. Like, for instance, today is full of possibilities. I will be fearless today. You need to speak it into existence. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we are blessed to have a millennial who is willing to help other millennials and young people. His name is Daniel Francis. And some of you may know the book, The Millennial Mind. And he is the author of that book, actually. And the reason why he wrote this book is because of his extensive work with young people. This actually enthused him to write this book to help us become the best version of ourselves. So Daniel's from right here in Trinidad and Tobago, and over the past 3 years, he served as a personal development coach under Rebit Limited. He facilitates workshops, consultations, and even programs to hundreds of young people utilizing skills he developed under Leadership Management International. And under his direction, young people learn practical skills in time management, goal setting, as well as staying consistent. So we are really fortunate to have Daniel here with us here today. Daniel, thank you so much for accepting our invitation and for being our presenter today. We are all eager to hear your presentation. And now I hand it over to you, Daniel.
Thank you so much for such a warm welcome. It's really a pleasure to be here with you guys. Obviously, we can't be here physically, but I love the fact that we can use technology to innovate and find a way to still meet in this amazing way. So just to let you know what I'm going to be doing, I'm just going to give you a small idea of my story, and then we're going to get straight into a purpose exercise. I would have sent a chapter of my book for you all to read. I hope you all were able to read it because the session will be kind of based off of that. And this session we're actually going to be doing is from a live program that I am doing currently with about 50 persons. So y'all are getting probably the only sneak peek I've given to anyone. But I felt really driven to share this with y'all. I don't know, maybe it was God telling me to do it, but I just felt like this was the way I should do this particular session, right? So my story is a really simple one with a lot of interesting twists and turns. And I really appreciate that this particular theme that was given to me is purpose, because I'm all about purpose. I live through purpose, and I always urge people to live your life through purpose. Every client I have, the first question I ask is, do you know what your purpose in life is? Right? This is because I not only live my life through what I've learned, but through my experiences. So for instance, when I was secondary school, I was lucky enough to go to Fatima College, and I remember a big pain point for me was that we were in what, form 4, form 5, going into form 6, and they would always ask us, what is the career we want to choose? Now, I felt as though, as a 17, 18, 19-year-old, how can you ask me a question and expect an answer for something that's going to basically change the course of my entire life? What if I make the wrong decision and the career path I choose is not for me? What then? Of course, I didn't know what life would be like after school, but this is the way I thought. It was like, what am I supposed to do? But luckily for me, my parents, they're really good at giving advice, as parents are, so you should be listening to your parents. But their main push was always, and it was excellent advice, and I still listen to it today, was that just do what you love, right? So for me, I always did what I loved. I loved basketball. I played basketball relentlessly. I still play basketball. I loved science subjects, so I used that as a guide for what I was going to do career-wise, and that turned into me looking into medicine, right? Lucky for my parents, because I could have liked literature and then become a professor, and then that's a whole other beat up because they always say that doesn't make money. Anyway, I digress, right? So from that choice, I said, I want to be a doctor, but I feel like I haven't experienced life enough. So I pushed really hard. I took a year off. I did SATs and I was able to study abroad. So I went to school in New Orleans for 4 years in a school called Loyola University, where I just experienced everything. It was amazing. I got a global perspective. I met a whole bunch of different persons from all over the world. And I learned that, there's more to life than just science subjects. I did literature, I did social justice, I did gender studies, I did all different types of religious classes because the school was run by Jesuits, which is an order of priests. And it really started to get me thinking about what is it that I actually want to do, right? But again, I followed the words of my parents, which were, do what you love. Now, when I left school is when I had to decide, okay, I've been putting off this whole med school thing. I need to make a decision. So I said, I'm going to take a year. I'm going to work, use that money to save up so that when I start school, at least I won't be dependent on my parents too much. 1 year passes. I saved a little bit of money. I had the application form to apply to medical school, and I missed the deadline. And I'm thinking to myself, well, this is weird. But I said, you know what? Let me just work another year. It's probably a fluke. I'll do this. 1 month before the deadline, print out the forms. 2 weeks before the deadline, I start answering question 1 and 2. Mind you, you'd have like 20 questions. 1 day before the deadline, I answer everything in a very rushed, and honestly, that application form was not looking too dainty. And on the day of the actual deadline, I could not get myself to send the form in. What was happening was that there was an internal struggle inside myself where I had an idea of what my purpose was, but my mind and my heart was at odds because something wasn't right. So I said, I've wasted 2 years of my life, and I started to ask myself, okay, what is my purpose, right? And the answer that I came up with was that I want to help people. Now, with that in mind, I thought, well, if I want to help people, why can't I apply to medical school? I mean, it's clearly what I want to do. And it really took for me to ask my parents for help. Say, I feel lost. My life is going on and I'm not moving in any particular direction. I'm feeling that heavy anxiety of I'm approaching 25 or 30 and I don't have all the things that I said I'd want to have. I know this might be a similar feeling that some of you all might actually be experiencing right now, right? And I remember how heavy that feeling was, right? My parents then decided to show me personal development. So it was the first time I ever did a personal development program. And the first exercise spoke about purpose. And I just shrugged. I said, well, why am I doing a purpose exercise when I already know my purpose? To only find out that when I did the exercise at the end, my purpose statement, which I was using, which was I want to help people, was too vague. And because my understanding of my purpose was too vague, it was very difficult for me to make decisions, because how life works is that you are consistently being presented with, let's say, metaphorical doors. You have to choose door A, B, C, or D. You get information about what's on the other side of each door, and you have to decide if any of these doors align with your values, with your purpose, with your direction. If you don't have that, if you don't know what your purpose is, if you don't know what your direction is, if you don't really know who you are, it's going to be difficult to choose any of them, right? So it was difficult for me to commit to anything, choose anything, because really and truly my purpose was too vague. When I finished that exercise and I repurposed my mission statement, I basically came up with my mission in life is to help people. Now I'm adding on the rest, to become a better version of themselves by using my skills, my expertise, for my name to be synonymous with leadership, empathy, and intelligence, and to be a little bit better each day. Now, you see the difference between I want to help people versus everything I just said. When I fully formed my purpose, it was just so easy to make those decisions in life. Not only that, but all that anxiety I felt about life, my direction, what I'm going to do each day, it kind of melted away and was more replaced with action. How am I going to get this done? And I kid you not, it's been 3 years. I'll never forget this experience. And between that 3 years, my life has just changed basically every single month. You know, I started throwing events. This is so that I could interact with more millennials. I became a personal development coach. So I took on clients, did workshops such as this, speaking engagements. I started to host a show where I would interview young entrepreneurs. Again, I want to reach out to the youth, help the youth. And then last year, I was sitting quietly and I'm thinking to myself, I do these sessions, I help persons, but I feel like I can't reach everyone. But I know that what they need to know is very simple, but it can be so impactful. And that sparked the idea for the book. Again, all of this simply being born from me understanding my purpose and building from there, right? So I said, well, I have no idea how to write a book. English was not my best subject. Listen, I had to do a senior thesis when I was in college, and I ratched my way through that entire process. So let me tell you something. This is not a person who is a grammatical genius. No. But I said, how hard could it be? This is 2020, well, 2020, 2019 back then. And we have the University of YouTube where I can learn anything. Information is free. There are experts all around me. And I started learning. I started growing. I started making a plan. And 6 months later, that plan produced the Millennial Mind. And just to add to that, the video that was being played before was Jay Shetty talking about purpose and passion. And I kind of want to go off of what he said and agree with it. It's not just about understanding what your purpose is. It's not just about understanding what your passion is. It's about working towards it every single day. You can't know what your purpose is. You can't be passionate about something and not show up each day, right? I had to show up every single day for 3 years to get where I am right now. And to add to that point, when I came up with the book, I didn't just say, okay, well, this is going to be my first book. I'm going to softball it. I'm going to go easy. No, I said, I'm going to go hard. I have to share this with the world. And I Googled how many books does a first-time author sell. The Google search told me 250 books. I said, nah, this is not it. I'm not going through all of this work. I am not giving birth to this creation, because it is my creation, to sell 250 books in a year. And it is with that passion, is with understanding my purpose, and it is with showing up every single day that I am 6 months in and I've already sold 1,000 books, right? Again, it's not just about knowing what your purpose is, not just about passion, having passion. That is step 1. Step 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you need to know what they are. And part of that is showing up every day, having a plan, using the experts around you, actually being present. You need to show up every single day or it's not going to change, right? So this just goes to show, for me, purpose is everything, because purpose is your core. And everything that you do radiates from your core. You know what your purpose is, you know what actions you're going to take. You know what thoughts you're going to allow to fill your mind. You know how you should allow yourself to feel, right? It literally sets the stage for every single decision that you make. So you can imagine that if you don't have your purpose, where are you really going? What the older generation would say, it's like spinning top in mud. It's spinning real fast, but it's not going anywhere. And it's that lack of mobility that causes that great anxiety with us. What am I going to do with my life? Where's my life going? What am I about? You want to know the answer to those questions, then sit down and answer them. Before you do anything else, sit down and answer those questions. All right, so I hope this story has motivated you to understand what your purpose is and start working towards it every single day. I want to pivot now to my purpose exercise. I'll leave all the questions till the end. So if you have any questions based on anything I've said, just jot it down and you can write it in the comments later on. Right? I know that Zoom has like a thumbs up option. So I'm going to ask a question that I'm terrified to ask. But how many people were actually able to read the chapter, which was entitled Learn to Learn? I see in one thumbs up. Whew. Whew. I'll take that, you know. If it's one, I'll take that. That's no problem. If it's one, oh, I get two Papa Laps. Well, luckily for you all, you don't actually need to read the book to necessarily participate in this. It's fine. But I mean, it's only for your benefit. One thing about personal development, it's not really about what I give to you. It's about what you put in. You have to be honest. You need to do the work for you to see the change. It's not magic. Things don't just change automatically. You still need to show up and you still need to do the work. All right, so I'm going to share my screen with you guys now. Let me show you this. Right, so the expectation is here. I'm going to show you all some questions. Things will come up. I'll chat about it. And I would love if you could share your answers in the comments if you're comfortable. Again, sharing can only help. One, it helps you to process the information, put it down into, well, pen to paper, but really is you type in. But then two, you never know what you write, how it might affect someone else in the group. It might give them a light bulb moment. It might help them move forward, right? So don't be afraid to share. I encourage it, please do. And I mean, I'm not as mean as to pull out people and pick on things because I don't know everybody here, so don't worry about that. But maybe I might, you never know. Anyway, so right, this is my book. I'll move ahead, right? So of course I'll send this so that y'all can get it. All the information about your book as well if you'd like to order. Right, so Burn to Learn, basically, for those who have not read it, is a story about, as millennials, and it is not only millennials, sometimes we like to experience life ourselves, have those failures, have those moments of weakness, so that we can know what we're really made of, right? So you have to kind of stumble, fail, basically burn to learn, right? So the story I would have given, which is exactly the story I gave here, was how I wanted to be a doctor, and I stuck with it for years. And it only took for me to realize that I didn't want to do it after spending a whole set of time, money, energy, that it only made sense for me to say, okay, now I need to figure out what's next, right? So based upon what I would have said, think about what your Burn to Learn story is. What is something that you're very stubborn about, that you wouldn't budge for, and at the end of the day, you really just had to let it go, right? I don't like to say failures because nothing is really a failure. Everything is a learning experience. But think about that experience, that story. You don't need to put this in the comment, but I want you to keep it close, right? And think about what it felt like in the moment when you realize that you couldn't, right? Keep that in mind, right? So second part is talking about you need to find your purpose, and luckily purpose is tied with passion. So what are you most passionate about? Please answer this in the comments. It does not need to be something that you think must make you money, and try not to answer this based on societal pressures. So pull the answer from deep within yourself, right? So what are you most passionate about? Like, what is something that you can do every single day? Even if you weren't paid, whether you're tired, you're hungry, you're homeless, you're balling, what is something that it's like within your DNA, it's woven within you, your soul, that you're just meant to do. You do it effortlessly. Right? What are you most passionate about? By the way, I'm talking to Stall because I waited for comments and I didn't get a comment yet, so I'll just keep talking, right? So I see Terrell Primer says African drumming. That is excellent, right? So again, let me get one more before I move on to the next one. African drumming, I really like that. I used to be real interested in drums, but I realized I don't have the talent for it or the patience, so that's amazing. right? Listening to music. And I would not belittle listening to music, because you could have a whole career listening to music. Listen, there's a little boy on YouTube who gets paid millions of dollars to be videotaped while he opens toys, right? Let that register. His passion is opening toys, and he gets paid to do that, right? So nothing is impossible, right? So next question. What would people closest to you say that you are most passionate about, right? Ask them if necessary. We can skip that because we're doing this. But when I do send this to you, I do suggest try to put some effort into actually doing these, right? Now, the traits we admire in others are sometimes what we believe we lack in ourselves. So what are 3 qualities you admire about people most? So it doesn't have to be one person, it could be multiple people, but I just want 3 traits, right? What do you admire most about, let's say, your the person you admire the most, right? Because sometimes the things that we admire in other people, those traits, again, as I said, is things that we want to see within ourselves. So is it we admire their ability to speak in public really eloquently? Do we admire their leadership skills? Do we admire their ability to beat a drum like a boss? It could be anything, right? Everybody's answer to this will be different, because you're seeing things through your lens, through your life, through your experiences, right? So I see, I'm not even going to try to say this name because I don't want to mess it up. So I'll just call her Q for now. Q says there's self-motivation, lack of procrastination. That is a huge one, right? To be so motivated that you show up every single day. That consistency is the greatest power that you could ever have. I see Timothy says their drive to be a better person. Love it, right? So take note of these traits, because these are things that you might want to incorporate into yourself. And that's something you don't want to know, right? I'll read this last one. It says, I admire the strength of never giving up on what they want to do. Amen. Right? So moving on now, let's get to the core of the issue, being your core, right? So, and I realize, and it doesn't matter how many times I do this exercise, big people, small people, younger people, it don't matter. It just surprises me how you could be big 40, 50, and you don't even know what your core values are, right? So below you see in here some list of values, right? You see in truth, efficiency, initiative, power, courage, competition, etc. I want you to pick your top 3 values. Now, this is not all the values, obviously. So you don't have, if you don't see yours here, it's fine. Just pull it out as normal. But I want your top 3 values. List them out for me, and I want them numbered. I don't want them just randomly put. I want number 1, number 2, number 3. Now note, I do not want you to list the values that you want to incorporate in yourself. I want the values that currently make you who you are, right? So when you're answering this, you should be thinking about, if these are my top values, that means that there's some type of behavior that I do on a regular basis because of this value. All right. So if you, let's say you pick empathy, leadership, honesty, you should be thinking about, if I put empathy as my top value, what does that mean for my behavior? Is it that I naturally put myself in somebody else's shoes? You know, is that like my natural inclination? And is it also my strongest inclination, right? So you need to be able to justify these top values. Of course, you're justifying mentally. You don't have to justify when you send the comment, right? So again, what are your top 3 values? Guys, give me 1 minute. I realize it's getting dark, so I'm going to put the light on. Give you all some time to put what your value is. Yes, Lord. All right. So let me see if anyone has put anything as yet. So Q has said integrity, peace, perspective, right? Excellent. Q is pronounced like K. Wow. So wow, I try a thing and it feel real bad. Sorry, so I should say K. All right. But just say so it's Kalia, right? I feel like that's right, so I'll just go with that until I get burned down. But yes, so integrity, peace, perspective. Love that. Does anybody else want to share their top three before I move forward? I know that this can sometimes be a difficult exercise if you've never thought about, what are your core values. But if you're having trouble, just think about your natural state of being. What do people normally say that you're like, right? If you're with a friend, what is your natural inclination, right? So I see persistence, creativity, self-control. Great. Now I really love to push specificity. I really think it's not good enough to just have a word. You need to be able to go past what it is, right? So for one of your values, I want you to give me a short descriptor, right? So a descriptor, I mean, in the name itself, it's just describing what behavior you basically do because of this particular value. So I give you an example here. I put top value as honesty. And then the descriptor is, my word is my bond. If I say I'm going to do something, it will 100% get done no matter what. And if you notice, if you have honesty within your top three, your descriptor will be different than mine, right? And as you point, everybody will see things a different way, experience things a different way. So you have to differentiate what that difference is. There's a power with not only knowing what your values are, but then knowing to see what the descriptions are. Because now, again, going back to that anecdote of having those doors in front of you, A, B, C, D, you can use this as a guide for which door, right? The starting foundation for answering which door, right? So I see some more values have been added. I see fun, commitment, strength, love that. Vanessa, loyalty, truth, efficiency, right? You can do this exercise for one value, as I said before, but I feel like you should do it for your top one, right? If you had done this correctly, you would have chosen your 1, 2, 3 position when it comes to your values. This again, this is no joke. I have my values, I have my descriptors written on a page that's stuck up on my wall. When I wake up in the morning, that's the first thing that I see. You want to get that reminder, who you are, what you do, why you do it. It can also be used to motivate you because you will unknowingly, but will knowingly create your goals based upon your purpose. So you know that all the actions that you're doing are in line with something that you actually want, that satisfies you. I remember when I became a personal development coach, it was hard at the beginning. I was terrible at getting clients. I had like one client every month or something. It was like picking up scraps on the ground. But that one client, I enjoyed speaking to them so much. Even if I had a long day and then I had a late session, 7 o'clock, I would enjoy it. Why? Because my actions, my career, my passion, they're all one. So even if I'm tired, hungry, sleepy, because I'm doing that action that truly satisfies me, truly satisfies my purpose, I'm basically tapping into some unlimited motivation, unlimited energy to get the job done. And that's what you want to do. That's what puts you ahead of other people. That is what keeps you consistent, keeps you showing up every single day because you're doing something that you love. And it's your actions are tied to that. So now nobody needs to push you. You already know this is me. This is what I want. So you start working towards it. All right, so I see persistence. I'll get the task done regardless of what, similar to the scripter. Okay, you copied mine, but it's fine. I'll give it a black. Integrity. Always try to do the right thing. Excellent. And I know sometimes people mix up between integrity and honesty. But again, once you have a descriptor, There is no discrepancy. It just is what you say it is. All right, so moving on. Of course, if you add your comments, I'll read them as we go along. Now, these exercises get a little bit harder as we go. All right, so finish the sentence below. Answer as though you had chosen only one activity or one scenario. So, I am my best self when, and whatever that is, add to the end of that. So, are you your best self when you are with your friends? Are you your best self when you are doing the work that you truly love? Maybe it's music. Are you your best self when you're playing African drums in a performance with 1,000 people watching? When are you your best self? And again, answer this question as though you had to choose one solitary thing. Don't put, I am my best self when I'm cooking with the family and also playing basketball outside and doing no. Try to keep it as one solitary answer. This can only help you narrow down more or less overall what your purpose is. I see Terrell added something fun, wouldn't stop until I've seen a smile on her face. Wow, Timothy is ahead of the pack right now. So he says, I am my best self when I am helping someone. That's great. If you could be more specific with how you're helping them, even better. But if it's in general, that's still amazing. All right. Let me get one more before I move on to the even harder exercise. Let's see how y'all do with this. So I am my best self when. So Kalia says, I am my best self when I'm completely comfortable in my surroundings. Excellent. Something like that is really important to see daily as well, as a gentle reminder when you are at your best. Terrell, I'm my best when I'm either with my friends doing the things we love. And lastly, I see I am my best self when I am fashion styling. That's what she had the nice little wrap and she had the bright colors that we're talking about. We can see that, right? So now let's get a little bit harder. Let's get a little bit more specific. So we all know what a biography is, right? It's a long written statement of your life. Now I'm challenging you to do a 7-word biography. I know this is a tough one. Your whole life in 7 words. How are you doing that? So it's forcing you now to have to focus on the most significant part of you. So if I had to do mine would be I help others become their best selves. Yeah. I help others become their best selves. Right? That's my 7-word bio. And for me, that encompasses everything. Whether I'm with a client, I'm doing that. Whether I'm with a friend or family member, I'm doing that. Whether I'm working on myself, I'm doing that. So try to answer this in an all-encompassing way that answers all the different parts of you, not just maybe the part of you that's at work or the part of you that's with family. Think overall. Think core. Think purpose. If some of you can't answer this, completely understood. This is a tough one, but if you challenge yourself, and I'll give you a plus or minus 1 word. So if it's 6 to 8 words, that's fine. The whole purpose is that I really want you to zero in, narrow that corridor when it comes to you and who you are. Because again, this does force you to choose that one singularity that is you, right? What do you think shines the brightest when it comes to you? Zion, so this is somebody new. I haven't seen them comment yet. Thank you so much for commenting. They say, I achieve my goals no matter what. That's inspired. I love that answer, right? I achieve my goals no matter what. Let me get one more from the audience. What you have for me? That's 7-word biography. Let's crystallize that answer for who you are. Right? Again, this is a lovely thing to have again, because if you write this down, put this on your phone, put this on your wall, put this on your wallpaper, it's just that reminder, that push to ground you, build that foundation of who you are. Like I said, once you know your purpose, everything permeates from that, and you'll find direction, you'll find passion, you'll find energy, you'll find that you're now able to do more than you were ever able to do, because everything is not scattered, it's very focused and direct. Kalia says, I lived happily as my best self. Lived, I think you have to say live, but I live happily as myself, because I ain't dead yet. But yes, love that. All right. So let me just go through this last little piece here. So all these different activities will help explore who you are and what you're about. This is pivotal to know what your purpose is in life. Take a look at everything you did in the prior exercises. So that's the 3 traits that you see in others that you want for yourself, your values, the descriptors. Of course, you all can keep working on it. Who you are when you're your best self, your 7-word bio. You look at all of these exercises, and I want you to write down what you believe your purpose in life is. Again, this is huge, so this is not something that I necessarily expect people to be able to answer immediately. But similar to my purpose in life, where I said, I want to help people become their best version of themselves by using the tools and the knowledge I have at my at my I don't know why I'm forgetting this word right now. Anyway, I want to be able to help people become their best self with the tools and my expertise, for my name to be synonymous with empathy, knowledge, and intelligence, and to do a little bit better each day. If you can get it specific like that, if you can get it targeted like that, if you can get it focused like that, imagine reading your mission, reading your purpose in life every single day. It will be that reminder, it will be that motivation, it will be that driving force that gets you focused, gets you up, gets you on the right track, because you know that you've created your goals with this in mind. You know that the activities that you are achieving are towards this end and can only help you get from point A to the point B that you want for your life. All right. So guys, thank you so much. Again, I don't expect anybody to really answer this now, because this is a big one. This is a hard one, and I would suggest you do all the other exercises before you jump into that. But of course, I'll be sending this to you. So if you want to see this, I'll work it out so that you all can get the form, and of course, any information about the book. Of course, I'll send it as well. All right. So thank you so much for having me. I hope that I have got you thinking about what your purpose is. I hope that this helps you to answer that question, and only that gets you to invest in yourself. Start working towards it. Start pushing yourself to be better, because at the end of the day, you can only help yourself by doing this. Right. So now I open the floor. If you all have any questions at all based on what I would have said in my speech portion, if you have any questions pertaining to this, I am open to answer anything. So feel free to ask. You can ask any comment, or I guess probably unmute and ask away. So I don't know if everybody's being shy or there are no questions. Fine, although either way, if you all have no questions, that means I probably did my job well. I don't know.
I have a question. Um, where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years from now?
5 to 10 years. Ooh,
Yeah.
I'm gonna put 5 years. So I actually just did that. For me, where I see myself as that millennial expert in the Caribbean, where people come to me when it comes to training millennials. So the goal is to set up a company that deals with this personal development. So it helps in time management, purpose, goal setting. So by time 5 years, the company would have already been set up and have its tiers. So one tier dealing with personal development, one tier dealing with helping people to publish books in the Caribbean, because I believe there's a lot of potential here, and I know that I can help with that. And one dealing with more social media marketing, more or less. And I'll set it up in a way where it's mainly online, and it more or less runs itself. Of course, with me creating content on all these things daily, but I know that there's only a certain amount of hours I want to work at it. I want to work 4 to 5 hours a day. I want to take 2 to 3 days off every single week. Right? This is what I'm pushing towards, and by the time 5 years, I'm probably going to write about things like 4 or 5 books by then, each adding to not only the millennial mind, but the author portion of the business. And hopefully we should be done with all this COVID nonsense. And I really would love to work remotely in different parts of the world, because what I do, it doesn't need to be done necessarily in Trinidad. I want to explore, experience different parts of all of the business, because I loved being in New Orleans and just being able to work remotely. Because again, COVID, I've just been working home. I can literally do anything anywhere. Right. So that's more or less where I see myself. And of course, the business will be a multi-million-dollar business. So I'm sticking on with that. I see some questions in the chat. So Kalia says, how did your parents support you through the writing process? And what were their thoughts while you struggled to apply to do med? Okay, so how did your parents support you through the writing process? Well, my parents are not writers, so they didn't do anything besides read my final product. But for me, the support came from, well, my sister wrote a book, and actually I got the best advice from her, which was just to write every single day. So for me, from that point on, I wrote 2 hours every single morning for like 2 months. And that's how I got my book done. Because I know some people have a book in the works for years, and it's just because they can't consistently sit down and write. And then I would have spoken to different authors. Thank God for social media. You could slide into people's DMs like it's nothing. I just slid into the DMs of like 100 best-selling authors, and I got like 5 of them to reply, and they gave me advice, and that advice was invaluable. Right? I think the biggest hurdle that came from writing process was knowing that my words would be out there and people could criticize it how they want, but it's just something you had to get over, because the book is not for everyone. It's for a specific niche. And for the people who it's meant for, they fall in love. For the people that it may not necessarily be meant for, they might nitpick certain things. But at the end of the day, the message is there. And what were the thoughts while you struggled to apply to do med? I feel like there was some, what's the nicest way to put this, boy? I guess some godly benevolence with them, because they knew that I did not want to be a doctor, and they were just waiting for the moment for me to come to them and say, I need help because I don't want to be a doctor. But again, my parents understood, I guess, burn to learn, where they realized that as a parent, they know that their kids need to experience life, experience those stuck moments, those failures, to then be able to ask for help. And if I was not at that point, I would not have been able to move forward in their minds, right? But again, they always encouraged me in whatever I was doing. Zion asked, what tips can you give someone who's struggling to find their purpose in life? My advice is to do this worksheet and be very serious about it and be honest with the answers. And then when you get to the end, create that purpose statement, which can be a combination of everything you have there, because you already know your values, and that is intertwined with your purpose. You already know what your 7-word bio is, which can be a directly answer that first part of what your purpose is, right? At the end of the day, when you have that purpose statement, when you answer the question of what is your purpose, you have to write it down. When you write it down, you need to look at it and feel as though this is me. This is 100% what I should be doing. If you write it down and you don't feel that way and you don't see that, then keep writing it down over and over. Make changes, add things, subtract things, whatever you need to do, just keep doing little drafts so that you can get a final version that says, yeah, this is me. This is my purpose. And of course, if you're still struggling, challenge yourself to experience life every day. And that'll be different for you than it is for me. But for me, it's like I just challenge myself to experience everything. If there's something new, jump on and do it one time. Hate it? Well, I hate it. Love it? Hey, something I might be interested in. But sometimes we want to find our purpose in a very limited void because we haven't experienced enough to actually know. All right, Terrell says, okay, so I wanted to be a lawyer, but everyone keeps telling me, don't go into it for money. But I love to play the African drums. What to do? That's a tough one. I need more perspective. But the thing is, it really depends. You know, I am fully on the back end that if you are really passionate about something, no matter what it is, you can make money from it. It's just about how much work you put in. And I believe as Caribbean people, as Trinidadians, as Tobagonians, we don't put in enough effort. We really don't. I can give you a good example. When I was working before medicine, well, after I realized I didn't want to do medicine, before I did the course, I was interested in hydroponics. right? Me and a buddy, we were interested in hydroponics. His interest, all he did was watch one video and still was very indecisive. That was his effort. My effort, on the other hand, was to take vacation from my job, then volunteer at a hydroponics farm for free for 2 weeks during my vacation to see if I would like the experience, to buy books on hydroponics and read them and learn and see if this is something I could do. Start a little farm in the backyard just to see if it's something that I'm interested in. Talk to people who do hydroponics farming to get their insight on what they like about it, what they don't like about it. And then after all of that, still went to seminars, still went to UE when they had showings of the hydroponics farm. And I did all of that so that I can learn more, make a better educated decision on what I should be doing. The more knowledge you have, the more experience you have, the better you can make a decision. If you're making a decision, again, from a closed system where you're not learning more, you're not asking the right questions, you're not speaking to the right people, of course it's going to be hard to make a decision, right? So if it is that you're really trying to decide law, African drums, both, start experiencing both in a really deep way. Ask those questions, read those books, see what you can do, see what you can mix, create a plan. Because if you're just looking at this for its face value of lawyer, drummer, of course it will be difficult. But you need to think, really put in the time, really actively learn to make that decision. All right. And FYI, I find a lot of lawyers are lawyers, and then when they become lawyers, they always want to do anything else besides law, which I find is hilarious. Because I know plenty of lawyers who open stores and doing that, or start a side business and doing that. But again, burn to learn. Sometimes you have to make the wrong decision so that you can learn from it and make the right decision. Any other questions? Okay, so I wanted to be, I don't know why that sad emoji face. I feel like, I hope that that emoji face is because you know you have some work to do, or not that you're still lost. Fingers crossed. Anyone else? Listen, of course it's because of the work. This is life, you know. You know what's really funny is that we really complain about the work, but do you know it takes the same amount of work to be successful and it is to be unsuccessful, to be happy, to be unhappy? Like seriously, right? It takes the same amount of work. And the thing is, it's be so crazy how a little bit of work, a little bit of it learning can make the biggest difference. For instance, I came out with a book the same time as another local author, and because he didn't do his homework, he didn't read any books, he didn't do any classes, he didn't do anything. He just kind of jumped into it, and he was lacking information. He made some very costly mistakes. Like this man spent $10,000 on something that he could have done himself in like 2 days. And when I told him, he was just like, oh, you know, and that's just laziness. There is no way around that, right? But we do this every single day. We sidestep, we half step finding the information that will help our entire lives. Imagine the difference between you being happy in a career and you being unhappy in a career is finding 3 people who are currently in the career and asking them what they like about it, what they don't like about it. But we don't do this because we're lazy, right? But then we become unhappy and we want to know why. We want to know why. It's because we're not trying hard enough. Again, going back to the Jay Shetty video, not just about knowing your purpose, it's not about knowing your passion. You have to work, you have to show up, you have to put in that energy, or you're not going to get anything out of this. That's just how it works. All right, I don't think I'm seeing any more questions. No one is unmuting and no comments. So I guess I will give it back to my presenter. Let me stop sharing and y'all can take it away from there.
So Daniel, thanks so much for coming and sharing your words of wisdom with us. I mean, we really appreciate it. And sometimes it's really hard, like you know your purpose or you have a really great idea as to what it is. But like you said, it's just the work. Because I might know my purpose or what I want to do, but that same thing, being afraid to get out there in public, like their feedback, what they might say, how they might accept your work, sometimes that demotivates you to actually push forth and do what you think your purpose is. And some of them, I know they might be a bit shy to say what field they want to go into or to speak more about their purpose, but a lot of the information that you give today, I know it will be able to assist them in a systematic way, basically, because they would have expressed previously what field they want to go into, but the steps to reach there and the support, that part for the support. I mean, it's really important because you said you would have had your parents, and that's really great, and you would have surrounded yourself with other like-minded persons and stuff like that. But some of us, we do not have the support system, and then you might be passionate about something, but then the people around you don't think that you might be successful in that particular field. And because we don't have that support and we don't really believe in ourselves to put forth and be that particular person, that really brings us down, and we just remain, like you said, like others, just going with the flow. So that's why we try to have these sessions on Sundays to really try and motivate and inspire them, like you said, to be the best version of themselves because they have it in them. It's just to pull it out of them. And that is the thing. So even though they might like speak up, sometimes in these small groups, you will hear it coming out from them, what they want to do. And Terrell, you see him commenting. Terrell is actually my nephew. And if he's to ask me, I'm not trying to tell him what to do, right? But if he's to ask me what I think he is good at, I will tell him go into that particular drumming field. Because just like me, I could stop anything that I'm doing and go into styling. I feel enthused to actually see someone like the final look, to see that smile on the face, it brings a sense of gratification to me. So I know that I'm passionate about that because, like I said, I could stop anything that I'm doing and style that person, style my parents, my sisters. When it comes to Terrell and drumming, anything that he's doing to be a part of that best village group or just to drum in church or what, he's willing to stop it. So to me, my advice to him, not just as an aunt, but as his youth leader as well, I will tell him try and seek out that particular field and speak to more people. He knows these things is just about putting in the work. That's what he needs to do, put in the work. So to all the other young people, that is it. You can't just expect people to do it for you. You have to do it for yourself. Live out your own purpose. So that is what I would like to add to them. So we are really grateful that you accepted our invitation today. And like you would have said, show up every day. Have a plan because you have to do the work to actually see the work. So I know we have some other adults on who might want to share some sort of words of wisdom as well to them. I mean, the floor is open to you because we really need that support system, not just in our household, but from the wider church community as well, because we need that guidance. So anyone, even the youth members, if you feel comfortable now, I mean, like you have, this is a leadership coach, he's the author of a book. So you have him here. Feel free to ask the questions. That's the only how we can benefit you. Because the information he gives can be like general to all of us, but to make it specific to you and for you to have that the best advice to whatever you want to go into, tell him about the field you are interested in and speak to him before he leaves. So that's okay to feel a bit shy. But again, on behalf of the St. Thomas Youth Ministry, Daniel, continue to do the work you are doing. You're like an ambassador to our youths and you do a lot of great work. I mean, I see it on social media. You might hear it from other people. And just the same when you said, you reach out to like how many other people in Instagram and what, and only a few might reply. I mean, sometimes I experience that as well, trying to get like speakers. So we are really thankful that you actually replied and you're actually here with us today to share your purpose, your wisdom, your story. So before we end, I just want to say a word of prayer. So, Father, please continue to bless every one of us and help us to know our purpose, to live out our purpose, to be the best version of ourselves, especially as a child of God. I ask you to please bless our parents and all the people around us to start or to continue being a strong support system, because God, you know, we need you and we cannot do it on our own. I pray that you continue to bless Daniel in his journey and all of us present here today. Thank you so much for letting us be able to have this experience, this forum, and please help us to continue in our youth ministry and to bless others to actually come on and, you know, benefit from the information that is being provided for them. So please continue to bless all of us and keep us safe in Jesus' name. Amen. Yes. So if you want to end us off with any other thing, feel free.
No, I mean, for me, I just hope that what I would have imparted would be useful to you guys. I seem as a shy bunch, but I know when it comes to understanding what's to come, it's really about you. It's not about your environment. It's not so much about what's happening around you. It's more about taking control of who you are, knowing what your purpose is, being able to control your feelings, your attitude, your thoughts, and just working, because no one is going to be able to do the work for you. Um, those 1,000 books didn't sell themselves. I had to work every single day. I did deliveries. I messaged how much people daily. That takes time. It takes work. It takes effort. But more importantly, it takes showing up every day. So you need to be sure that what you're working towards is actually something that you want. So experience life, really think about what your purpose is, and just work at it. Have some patience, it's going to come. All right, guys. I wish you all the best and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
All right, see you guys. Sierra, thank you so much again, Daniel. So we continue our purpose edition. Next week we have the guy who came third in the Boca Slate Festival, Ahmad, and he's gonna be looking at purpose. There's purpose in your pain. So we would have looked at purpose and identity last week. We look at purpose and your career today, purpose and success. Next week, seeing that yesterday was World Mental Health Day, we're actually going to be looking at the purpose in your pain. So again, same time, 5 o'clock every Friday, every Sunday, sorry, we are using the same Zoom link. So yes, you guys can invite others and we look forward to seeing you. To have a blessed day and enjoy the rest. Thank you.